Hi guys, thanks for joining. So one of our questions today on our social media platform was, when should I get my dog or cat spayed or neutered? It's a little bit of a loaded question. So there's a couple different opinions out there in different circumstances and pros and cons with it. So first, here at Eastwood Animal Clinic, what we tend to do is we want them to be at least 4 months old. Generally we shoot for getting them fixed around 4 to 6 months old. We use other little variables on when does it fall in most convenient with your finishing up your vaccine cycle, getting your last round of boosters. But typically most clinics, most veterinarians will shoot for about 4 months of age or older to get them fixed. I like that 4 to 6 mark, works really well. Why do I like at least 4 months old? A lot of physiology changes in patients, or in our average patient, from when they go from a juvenile into a young adult. So in our opinion, experience, and lots of other veterinarians I've spoken with, the anesthesia, they just handle it much better and they're more stable, and we have less fatality in patients who are over 4 months old as opposed to younger patients. Now, earlier in the video, I did comment on sometimes you do earlier versus later ages. So a lot of that variable has to go with breed. Are we a giant breed? Are we a St. Bernard, a Great Dane, or are we talking about a Chihuahua and a Pomeranian or Maltese? They all hit different maturities, or tend to mature, their bodies tend to mature at different ages. So a little bit of variables there. For me, giant breeds, I tend to vaccinate them. I tend to do my giant breed spays and neuters a little bit later, maybe past that 6 month, and depending on the owners and their pros and cons and comfort, maybe even closer to a year of age. For me, there's a little difference between males and females, but we'll get into that on another day on another video, because I don't have time for that one in our short time together. So one of the big reasons a lot of dogs and cats get spayed earlier is when they're coming from rescues and shelters, and they just flat out don't have the space to keep patients, so they do them sometimes as early as 6-8 weeks. And that's pretty early. But when we're dealing with the general public, who these are individually owned animals out there, there's no necessary reason, there's no good reason for us to take an unnecessary risk and predispose them to that. You know, we're not supposed to have happy, healthy patients die under anesthesia. Anybody who does lots of surgeries over time, there is a percentage you cannot predict where they will have an anaphylactic reaction and have an issue. It's kind of like penicillin or getting stung by a bee. You don't know till you do it, and you take it as it comes. We also have the flip side happen, where patients who shouldn't survive and live for whatever reason survive and do really well. So that pendulum does swing both ways, but for this purpose of the video, we're talking about young patients and when to spay and neuter them. One of the other reasons shelters and rescues like to get them done early is because they need to foster these guys out. They need to find them homes. People tend to want to adopt young kittens and young puppies as opposed to a 10, 12-year-old. There are those special people out there, and we praise you guys, and y'all are awesome and got big hearts, who look for the old broken animals and try and give them a good quality of life for the rest of their days. There's a lot of good rescues out there that are very, very good at doing this, and y'all are a godsend and amazing, and you know, we pour out our hearts to y'all, and it takes a big heart to do what you guys do. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit with when to get them spayed and neutered. Every doctor has their own preference and will do things a little bit different. There are circumstances like inbreeding, or you know, brothers, sisters, or you're a breeder and you're gonna order semen and you want a certain stud, but the neighbor's dog jumped the fence and impregnated your female and you don't want those puppies. So lots of different ways to go about it, lots of different circumstances. So hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit, and we'll see you next time.